Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to be showing you all the 88 particles available in Minecraft 1.18. So if you like Minecraft videos like this one, then please make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Minecraft videos like this one. I have an entire playlist of showing you all kinds of things in Minecraft, so check it out, links in the top right hand side of your screen. I go over all the Minecraft biomes, all the Minecraft structures, all Minecraft mobs, and whatever kind of topic you could think of for Minecraft. But today we're going to be looking at particles. So as I said, there are 88 particles in Minecraft, and we're going to take a closer look at every single one of them here. And so just a warning, there will be a flashing particle at some point, so if you have any sensitivity to that, I will remind you before we get there, and then you can just skip ahead a little bit. But we start off right over here with the first particle, and this is called ambient entity effect. So this is the basic particle. It's just a sort of effect particle with every single different color. You can also customize it to make it a single color, like for example we have a red one here and a blue one here. And so I'll leave some commands in the description down below so you can create these particles yourself in-game as well. This is for example the command for the first ambient effect particle. And so the second particle over here is the angry villager particle. This is the particle you see when villagers are angry at you, for example when you hit them. And so for most of these particles, they are displayed 2 blocks above the command block and in a region of 1 by 1 by 1 blocks, with speed set to 0, so the normal speed, and count set to 1 or 2. And all these parameters have been switched up so we can see the particles in great detail here. So after the angry villager we have the ash particle. So this one you can see in the basalt deltas, I believe, and it's just a nice ambient particle. Then we move on to this particle over here. This is actually the block particle, and it's the particle you see when you break a specific block. So for example, if you break this grass block or dirt block, we see some dirt particles there. So that is this particle over here, in this case set to TNT. You can specify the block in here to whatever block you want, let's say beacon, and then it suddenly becomes some beacon particles. Then over here we have the block marker particle. So this is actually a particle that shows the full block, or actually a 2D version of the block. I have a video where I explain this in more detail in the top right hand side of your screen if you want to watch that. But once again, you can customize it to whatever block you want. Then we move over to some bubble particles. So first of all, this is the normal bubble particle, and you see that these bubbles actually disappear very quickly. And so that's just a side effect of this particle command. So we're using a repeating command block, which means that it summons one every single tick. And apparently these bubbles disappear in a single tick as well. And so then this one over here is bubble column up. And so we can see that they go up slightly, but it's not really visible and looks almost identical to the bubble particle over there. Then the third one does look slightly different because this is the bubble pop particle, and it's actually the little particle with a little animation in it where you can see the bubbles pop. And so this is actually an unused particle and is currently not used in the game at all. Then over here we have 2 smoke particles. So the first one is the campfire cozy smoke. And so of course this is the smoke particle you see when you place down a campfire. But then there's also a second campfire particle, or the smoke particle at least, and that is campfire signal smoke. So if I'm not mistaken, then this is the particle you see when you put a hay bale below the campfire, and then the smoke also goes up higher, but the particle also changes apparently. Then over here we have the cloud particle. So it's called cloud, but it's actually sort of more of a steam particle, because this one displays if you jump into water after being set on fire. But it does indeed look a little bit like a cloud. Then over here, this is the composter particle, and it's a particle that appears if you put something into a composter, and looks very similar to a particle we'll see later on down the line. Then over here, this is the crimson spore particle, and it is a particle you will see when you go through a crimson forest biome in the nether. Just an ambient particle. Then we have the crit particle over here. That is of course the particle that appears if you perform a critical hit on an entity, or if you hit an entity with a fully charged bow shot, crossbow, or when an evoker fang hits an entity. Then we have another bubble particle over here, and this is actually the current down particle. And this one is used for a downwards bubble column when there is a magma block put below water sources. But once again looks very similar to the bubble column up and bubble particles. This particle over here is the damage indicator particle. and it appears above entities, players, when they get hurt with a melee attack. So if you hit a mob with, for example, your sword, they will get some of these particles above their head, and they're sort of darkened versions of hearts. Then we have this particle over here, which you might think is some sort of water particle or something, but this is actually a dolphin particle. So this is what trails behind a dolphin when a dolphin is swimming. And I've pretty much never noticed this, but if you look at a dolphin, they'll leave these particles behind. Then this is the dragon breath particle. It is the particle that appears when the dragon breathes, of course, and also it appears around dragon fireballs. And then we move over to a category of particles over here. So this is the dripping particles. And there are quite a few of them. So first of all, there is dripping dripstone lava. So this is actually the particles you see dripping down from some pointed dripstone. And you can see that these particles go slowly first, then fall down and land on the ground. And there's something similar happening over here. This time it is dripping dripstone water. And of course, as the name suggests, this is just water dripping down from a pointed dripstone all the way onto the ground. Can also fill up a cauldron. Then here we have dripping honey. And this is just honey that can drip from, for example, a beehive or a bee nest. This is the dripping lava particle, and that's just lava dripping through blocks. You probably will have seen this if you're under a lava lake. The lava can drip through the blocks above you. This over here is a purple version of this dripping particle. It's actually dripping obsidian tear. And so this particle appears when you place down crying obsidian. And the final one of these dripping particles is dripping water. Just like dripping lava, just water dripping through blocks when there is a water source above it. Next up is the dust particle. And so the dust particle actually has a lot of customization. And as I said, all of these commands will be in the description down below. And this one is actually pretty interesting. So for the dust particle, you can actually customize its color and also its size. But in the game, it is mainly used for redstone ore, redstone dust, redstone torches, and redstone repeaters. But with commands you can customize, as I said, both its color and size. So this is the normal color and normal size, red and the first size. But you can also change it to green or blue or yellow or any color in the RGB spectrum. And we can also see that this is size 1, this is size 2, size 3 and size 4. The particles get larger every single time. And you can actually create some really cool effects with this in maps or whatever. And here you actually specify the RGB values in these three numbers over here. Where this is R, this is B, and this is G. And they go up from 0 to 1. And similar to the dust particle, there's also the dust color transition. And it's basically the same thing, but you can now specify two colors. So it's one dust particle transitioning into another dust particle. And here we see some red particles turning into blue particles. So here you just specify the first color, the initial color, and then the size, and then the final color. And once again, yes, you can change the size indeed. So here, for example, we have some green particles turning into purple particles of size 2, some blue particles turning into white particles, size 3, and some yellow particles turning into black particles of size 4. So some really interesting particles right over there. Then we move over to the effect particle. And so this one is actually used for splash potions, lingering potions, and bottles of enchanting. But I couldn't really get this to change color, so I don't quite know how that is happening here. And over here we have a beautiful particle. Yes, you can definitely see it. No, there's a reason I have not turned this one on. Because this is a special particle that does something completely different to all the other particles around us. And so to activate it, let's just put a lever on this command block and flick it. And then we'll see, yeah, this. A whole lot of Elder Guardians. I can't actually see where the lever is. I hope I can hit it. There we go. So this is the Elder Guardian particle, and it displays the Elder Guardian effect on your screen as a particle. But because this is a repeating command block, it does that every single tick, making it look really, really crazy. This is the electric spark particle, and it appears when a lightning bolt hits copper blocks, which can then also, of course, turn them back into not weathered copper blocks, so from green back to orange. This over here is the enchanting particle you, of course, see floating between bookshelves and the enchanting table. And it's of course the beautiful alphabet over here. This is another particle you see when you attack with a sword or an axe. And this particle is actually called Enchanted Hit. And so it means that if your axe or sword is enchanted with Sharpness, Smite or Bane of Arthropods, then you can see this particle above the entity or around the entity you hit. This is the end rod particle. It generates around end rods and shulker bullets. Next up, there's once again another effect particle. This is entity effect, and so it's used for many different effects, so lingering potions, tipped arrows, status effects, and actually also trading with villagers. So there's the black version, but you can also turn it into a multicolored version, and you can also specify a single color once again with RGB over here. So it's really customizable like some of the other particles we've seen already before. And now we move on to some beautiful explosions. So first of all, there is the basic explosion particle, which is used in explosions, ghost fireballs, but also stuff like shearing a mushroom. But yeah, this is definitely not the large explosion. No, that's this one over here. This is called Explosion Emitter, and it's mainly used for the Ender Dragon death. And yeah, it is quite massive compared to the other particles. Then we move on to another category of particles. So before we had dripping, this is falling. So first of all, there's falling lava. So this is lava falling from dripstone. This is falling water, water falling from dripstone. And then over here, this is quite interesting. So this is falling dust, and it's actually the particles you see, for example, below sand if it's floating. And you can actually specify it to whatever block you want. So normally indeed it would be something like sand. And so we'll have this color over here. But you can put it to any block in the game and it will take on a color for it. So if you do oak planks, for example, which would never produce any color, we see that it does have the color of oak planks. Let's say we do the repeating command block. And then it would be some sort of purple, I imagine. Yes, there we go. So there's the falling dust for the repeating command block. Really interesting particle, actually. The next falling particle is falling honey. So this is just honey falling through air. Then we have falling lava. This is just lava particles falling through air. This over here is falling nectar. And so these particles can drop from a bee that is pollinated. I think it's actually quite a cool particle here. Then here, this is falling obsidian tears, falling through the air from a block of crying obsidian. Then we have the falling spore blossom. So it's a particle effect that appears from the spore blossom, the main one, and not the ambient one. We'll get to that one later. And then we also have falling water over here, just water falling through air. The next particle is the firework particle, and it's a particle of the trail of the firework. But this particle is also used for when dolphins track shipwrecks and underwater ruins. So quite a versatile particle there. This is the fishing particle, so this is the particle you see on top of water when you're fishing. The flame particle here comes from torches, furnaces, magma cubes and spawners. So quite some different blocks and mobs. And then next we'll move on to flash, but of course if you're sensitive to this then please skip ahead a little bit into the video. Around 20 seconds should be completely fine, but here it is. So this is the flash particle. It's quite a large particle actually compared to the other ones, and it's used when a firework explodes. Then this is a particle that was added in Minecraft 1.17. It is the glow particle, and it comes from the glow squid. And next to it is another particle that also comes from the glow squid, and it's actually the glow squid ink. So this is the ink the glow squid drops when it gets attacked. Then here we have a particle that looks very similar to the composter particle we saw earlier on in the video, but this is actually the happy villager particle, and you see it when trading with a villager, or when you feed a baby animal its food, or when you jump on turtle eggs, or when you bone meal a crop. So a particle that's used a whole lot, but it's called Happy Villager, and so that's the main use. Then this over here is the heart particle, and you see it when you breed and tame animals, of course. This is the instant effect particle, and it's used for the instant health and instant damage, splash and lingering potions, and also for spectral arrows. Next up is a very interesting particle once again. So this is the item particle, and it is used for example, eating, throwing eggs, using splash potions, breaking Eyes of Ender, and breaking tools. So for example, here we see a diamond pickaxe breaking, but you can actually fill in every single item in the game here. It doesn't matter which one. So for example, we can also put an elytra here, which normally would never break, of course. But yeah, you can in theory put in every single item here. So let's say grass. There we go, it's grass, but actually because this would never work in-game, it's actually white instead of the green we see over here. So probably something similar happens for redstone. So let's try that. No, Okay, that somehow actually works. That is really strange. And then there are two particles over here, which I don't quite know why they're in the game, because there's also this item particle over here, but this is item slime, and it's used for slimes that are jumping, but you could just as well use this one, I suppose. Then there's also another one over here, that is item snowball, and it's used for thrown snowballs, but also for creating withers and iron golems for some reason. Then there's a third small category over here for these dripping slash falling slash landing particles. Yeah, so this is the landing part of this animation, sort of. So first of all, there's landing honey. So that's honey that has fallen onto the ground, as you can see, like this. Then there's also landing lava. So this is just lava droplets landing on the ground. And finally, there's also landing obsidian tear. So that looks something like this. There's no landing water for some reason. I don't quite know why. So this over here is the large smoke particle. It's used for fire, microwave furnace, blazes, and when water flows into lava or the other way around, creating either stone or cobblestone or obsidian. This is the lava particle, and you can actually see it above lava lakes. Then this is not another ash particle, no, this is a mycelium particle, so this one actually appears above mycelium blocks, as you can see here, in a very, very low quantity. But of course, I've exaggerated it here to show it off a little bit better. This is the Nautilus particle. It generates around activated conduits. And I think it looks really, really cool, actually. This is a really cool particle. The node particle is, of course, emitted from node blocks and jukeboxes. And then over here is a particle with a great name. It's called Poof. And it's used mainly in mobs dying and also in mobs spawning from spawners. The portal particle over here is used, of course, for nether portals, but also for endermen, endermites, ender pearls, eyes of ender, ender chests, dragon eggs, and end gateway portals, and also when you eat chorus fruit. This is the rain particle, and of course you see it when it rains in your world. This particle looks a lot like the portal particle over here, but this is actually called reverse portal, so I don't quite know what it means, but this is the reverse portal particle. If you know anything about this, please let me know in the comments down below. This particle is used when scraping off oxidation from a copper block with an axe, and it's called scrape. And there will be a couple more copper particles down the line. This is the small flame particle, just a smaller version of the flame particle we saw earlier on in the video. And just like that, this is the smoke particle, a smaller version of the large smoke we saw earlier on. Then this is a really interesting particle over here. I don't think we should get too close because this is the sneeze particle and it's used when baby pandas sneeze. And so you probably won't have seen this too much in the game because it's quite rare. This is the snowflake particle and it appears when you sink in powder snow. And then over here is a particle I think we've all seen before already. It is the soul particle and it appears when you walk on soul sand or soul soil with the soul speed enchantment. Another soul particle is over here. This is the soul fire flame and it appears on soul torches. This looks a little bit like another snowflake particle, but this is actually a spit particle and it is a particle that appears when a llama spits at a player. Then this over here is the splash particle and it appears from entities in water or when a dog shakes off water after swimming. Then earlier on we already saw the spore blossom particle, of course, but this is a spore blossom air particle. And this is the ambient particle you see in the lush caves. And is of course also emitted by the spore blossom. This is the squid ink particle and it's produced by a normal squid when attacked. The sweep attack particle is used when you sweep attack using your sword. I believe that is done by holding down shift. I hope you haven't seen this particle all too often because it is the totem of undying particle and it appears when you activate a totem of undying. So when you almost die from any event in the game. Then for the next particle you have to actually go into the water because it is called underwater and you can only see it underwater. It is this sort of blue particle you see in this water over here. We can actually increase it a little bit by increasing this number right here. And now we can see that particle appear a whole lot more here underwater. So that's the underwater particle. Then there's a particle related to the skulk sensor and it's the vibration particle. So this particle appears when a skulk sensor is triggered by a sound, but you can use it with a command block to just generate some sort of laser beam. And you can actually specify the initial and final coordinates over here so you can customize this very, very well. Then this, like we've seen earlier, is another spore particle. This is the warped spore particle, and it appears in the warped forest in the nether as an ambient particle. After that we have 2 more copper particles. So first of all there's wax off, and it appears when you remove wax from a copper block. And then there's wax on. It naturally appears when you put some honeycomb on a copper block and wax it. Then the second to last particle is white ash. We already had ash very early on in this video. This is just a white variant of that, and it also generates in the basalt deltas biome. And then finally we have this particle over here, which of course the particle of the witch. Really cool purple particle. And that includes all the 88 particles available currently in Minecraft 1.18. It's really interesting to see these and actually recognizing a whole lot of them without even knowing their names. As I said, I will leave some commands in the description down below so you can put all of these particles in your own worlds if you wanted to. But there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then please make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Minecraft videos like this one. I want to thank my tier 3 member, the Smikkelaar. Thank you so much for becoming a tier 3 member. If you also want to become a member, click the blue join button below the video to check out the different tiers. But there we go. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you all in the next one. So until then, bye bye.